Okay, so it is January 29th. The Fangs have exited the dungeon with only 3 remaining of the original 8. They're low on rations with only 2 days' rations, but they have 2 mules. They may decide to cut down one of the mules and use it as rations if need be, but before they do that, they're going to risk it. So the way I'm going to do this is, I've got the characters here on the Outdoor Survival map, so we're back to that again. And again, we're going to use the OD&D rules for this, which basically means they can move 3 hexes a day. They'll have to roll to see if they get lost, etc., just like we've done before. So what I'm going to do is, just so we know the party makeup, we have the elf, who is functioning as a magic user, but is going to wear plate armor because they're going to need that armored foot. That doesn't really affect the outdoor movement. We've got a dwarf, who's also in plate armor now, fighter. And then a straight-up magic user, Jolly. And Jolly is going to keep prepared the sleep spell, because that seems like the the smartest thing to do, just in case they have to fight something. But in an ideal world, they're going to try to avoid everything they can and get home as quickly as possible. So again, I am tracking the days because obviously it matters for rations, but it also matters because there are other parties adventuring in this world, and they're all in competition. So we've got 2 days rations. We're going to begin. Roll my 6-sider. If we look, we're not going to need this. Hopefully we won't use monsters and treasure, but we have our encounters, chance of encounters, and such. They're in the clear. I'm going to roll a d6. If it comes up as a 1, they get lost, which means they have to go off course for a day or for a hex. If they roll a 6, they have an encounter. Oh my god. All right, we're beginning with an encounter. This party is incredibly unlucky. The encounter happens at the end of the day, so we'll move them first. 1, 2, 3. This is the location of the map. I'll just leave that there. It doesn't matter. They're in the clear. They've encountered something, so I'm going to roll to see what they encounter in the clear. I guess the good thing is they're a smaller party now, so it should be easier for them to avoid it. 3. Okay, a giant type. So we're going to look at our giant type here. It's a D12. We do not want to roll a 12 because 12 is a Balrog. 4. Ooh, 4 is hobgoblins. This is not great. All right, so the party is encountering some hobgoblins. Let's take a look in monsters and treasure. When we look under hobgoblins, there can be 2 or 20 to 200. So I'm just going to roll a d10, because for this we're not going to fight them. So I just need a rough number. So I'm going to roll a d10 times 20. 5. Okay. So what that tells me is there's 100 of them, which we're going to try, of course, to avoid them. I know that you're supposed to roll for surprise, but I have to imagine that 100 hobgoblins are not going to sneak up on the party. But the party might surprise them. So I'm going to roll a d6. If I get a 1 or a 2, the party surprises them, which means they can just evade. They do not. Okay. So the hobgoblins do probably see them or sense there's somebody around, and they're going to start looking for them. And we're going to now go into evasion. So the way this works, we'll grab the wrong book. No, this is the right book. The way this works is we're going to go to our evasion table. Our party size currently is 4 to 9, because remember we have to count the mules too. There's 2 mules in the party. The chance of they're in here, the 26 to 60%, so they have a 50% chance of evasions. Now, if they're faster than the hobgoblins, which they are, but not by much, so there's no difference there. So it's basically a 50-50 chance that they can evade the hobgoblins, and we're going to hope for the best here. You could roll percentile. I'm just going to 1 through 3, they avoid them. 4, 5, 6, they don't. All right, they do not avoid them. If they don't avoid the hobgoblins, they must now move in a random direction to run or fight, which obviously they're not going to fight. 6. Oh god, okay, that's terrible. All right, they run towards the mountains, which is terrible. The hobgoblins are not twice their speed, which means that they do not pursue. So they've got away, but now they're in the mountains, and they have to rest half a day. So they're only going to get to move basically 1 hex tomorrow. And that day goes by, and they've only got 1 day rations left. And we're going to talk about that when that happens. Okay, next day, they're starting in the mountains. So I'm going to roll here, which this is why this is dangerous to encounter anything. I'm going to roll in the mountains. If I get a 4, 5, or 6, there is an encounter. A 1 or a 2, they're lost. 6. Ugh, okay. They're having a mountainous encounter. Again, this party has not been very lucky. They might have to ditch these mules. Okay, so in the mountains, I'm going to roll a d8 to see what they encounter. Is that an 8? 8. 8 is a dragon, I'm pretty sure. It's always a dragon when it's 8. Not necessarily a dragon, but a dragon table. Dragon type. There's a d12 roll. We actually encountered a gold dragon before, which worked to our advantage. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Which I'll just deal with in a second. That's a 6. If you can see better. I'm not sure if you can read this when I do this. 6 on the dragons. Oh, no, dragons are here. 6 on the dragons is a gold dragon again. Wow. They are lucky. Now, let's just roll back in time for a second. I want to see if that was the hobgoblin's lair, because if it is, we're going to note that, because any lairs we want to mark on the map, because we might want to go after them again. So for hobgoblins, there's a 30% chance they're in their lair. Okay, no, they were just traveling. It was a traveling band of hobgoblins. Okay, they're encountering a gold dragon. So I'm going to now roll a reaction roll for the gold dragon. It will not attack them, but it's going to do one of two things. If it's a positive reaction, it's going to help them somehow. Maybe move them a day's travel or something. I did that the last time. If it's a neutral reaction, it'll leave them alone. If it's a negative reaction, then it will do nothing and leave them. I guess, no. A gold dragon is always positive. So basically, if the gold dragon is, it's lawful, right? So if it gets a negative reaction, it's going to require some kind of task of them, which they already owe the other gold dragon a task. Oh, let's use our oracle. It's pretty far away, but gold dragons are pretty rare, so I want to make it 50-50. So basing this off kind of what Matt Jackson does for an oracle, I have 2 dice. This one means yes, this one means no. I'm going to roll the both dice and I'm going to say, is this the same gold dragon they encountered before? No, it's not. Okay, this is a second gold dragon. Wow, okay. This party is very lucky, because gold dragons are lucky, right? So I'm going to roll a reaction roll. 7, which should be neutral, I believe. Just check to show you. When you encounter monsters, okay, 6 to 8 is uncertain. So what we're going to do is, the dragon is uncertain. It doesn't really want them there, but it's not going to help them at all. So what it's actually going to do is just leave them alone so they can stay where they're at. So they don't have to run. They don't have to try to evade it. They're basically good to go. And they're getting it to move their 1 hex, which they'll move in this direction. Okay, but now they've consumed their ration. So at this point, if they want to move forward at full rate, they're going to have to roll under their constitution on 3d6. I'm just going to roll the worst constitution. Now in this case, and again, this is my house rule, there's no rule for this in OD&D. In this case, the worst constitution is actually a 4, but since I have 2 mules, I'm going to have the person with the low constitution ride the mule, at least this first day. So I'm going to roll 3d6, and we're going to try to get 10 or below, which is the next constitution. If we fail, then we're only going to move 1 hex. 10, so I can make a full movement. So now let's start the day. Our weakened party member is on the mule, and we're going to move through. We're in the clear, so again, a 1, I get lost. 6 is an encounter, otherwise we move normal. 4, perfect, we needed that. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to mark day down for the rest, and then a day down just for today. And again, we have no food again, so we're going to do the same thing the next day. We're going to roll under their con again. Once they fail the con roll, then they drop down to just 1 hex a day until they get food. Or, I don't know, I'm not going to have them die of starvation probably because they're not in the desert. We're going to say that they're, you can always find something to eat. I mean, they're right near a river, but just not enough to really sustain them. Plus they have the mule. I don't know. Maybe there should be some kind of starvation check, but I'm not going to worry about that. All right, so 3d6, trying to get 10 or less. Oof, another 10 exactly. Okay, so they can still move 3. I'm going to roll a d6 to see if they get lost or encounter anything. 5, they do not. This is a crossing, so it only counts as 1, 2, 3. This is perfect. They're stopping there. Whenever you land or stop on one of these hexes, you can roll 2d6 if you remember. Times 2, and that's how many rations they pick up. Oh, thankfully, okay. So that's 16 rations. And there's 3 of them, so that's basically 5 days worth. So because of that, what should I do here? I'm thinking for a second what I want to do with these guys. Ultimately, I guess if you haven't been following along, they need to get over here. Now, the way we came before, because I thought it was the smartest, was this way. And I still think that's the best way to go. I'm trying to look. There's desert here, which is very dangerous to go through, so I don't think I want to risk that. But that would give me a nice pass. Otherwise, I'm going to have to pass through the forest, which is dangerous. Yep, I think no matter what, they're going to have to face some kind of forest or desert, and both of them are dangerous for monsters. So I'm just going to do the forest because I feel like that's the safest way to go. And I'm going to try to come down here first because I think I'm going to try to get a little bit more food, but I don't want to stay in one spot if I can avoid it. Although, we'll have to stop there. You know, I'm going to stay where I am one more day. So we're going to stay here. First, we're going to roll to see if there's any random monster. Oh, hold on, that was day 4. So if there's a random monster, we might get pushed off. That's why I have to check that first. There's not. Okay. I'm going to get more hunting. Okay. 7 times 2 is 14. That gives me a total of 30 rations or 10 days. Okay, that's actually very good. All right, that might not be enough to get home, but we're going to find out. All right, so beginning on the next day, that was 5. We're going to try to move again. They're going to go down to here, like I said. Well, yeah, they're going to. I'm trying to find the shortest way across the forest, to be honest with you. I think it might actually be. I think that's actually the shortest. This is probably shorter still. So I'm just going to go directly across the forest. They're just going for it. The forest takes up 2 moves. So again, we're rolling to see if they get lost or if there's a wandering monster. They're in the clear. Wandering monster. Wow, these dice roll a lot of 6s. They weren't rolling 6s during that combat though, were they? All right, so they're in the clearing. There's a monster. 6. Now I know how my players feel when they constantly are running into monsters. Will I become a more kinder, gentler DM after this? Probably not. All right, so we're encountering men, which could be any kind of men. But for now, we're going to start with just rolling to see how many there are and if they're in their lair. Oh, no, I'm sorry, no, men. Men, typical, 12. Because there might be some that aren't just regular. I say that, but let's do it right. Men, then we're going to roll here. 12. Oh, that's actually good. It's a patriarch, so it's not even a lot of men. It's a patriarch in their entourage, which is a small group. And again, being they're a priest and we're in the hunting ground, we're not going to try to avoid them. We are going to roll a reaction roll, though. They are lawful, so they're not going to kill us. But, you know, let's see if we can make friends and see if we get anything extra from this. I don't think we will. We have nothing really to gain, but that is a negative reaction. That patriarch does not want anything to do with us, and they basically say, get the heck out of here. So we do. 1, because that's a path. And then these count 2 each, so 2, 3. And we end our day in the forest. We use a day's rations. And we begin again the next day. In the forest, 1 or 2 is lost. 5 or 6 is an encounter. Encounter. Okay. I gotta tell you, only crits. Your dice only crit. All right, encounter in the forest. So I'm not lost. So 1, 2, we can't move any further than that. Basically 1, 2, 3, and then we'll do 1, 2, 3 when we come out the next day. So let's see, forest encounter, 8. I suppose if I didn't encounter anything, it would be boring. 4. Oh, we know 4 is lycanthropes. Always lycanthropes. A D4 to see what kind. 3. Were tigers. Ooh, interesting. I don't think I've ever encountered a were tiger before. Well, we're going to try to avoid them anyways, because we don't know what they are, and they could be chaotic, they could be neutral. We're not really sure. So let's just see how many there are. Lycanthropes, 2 to 20. So that's 2d10. Oh, I suppose I should have rolled to see if it was the lair for the patriarchs, but I just don't see that. I don't see a patriarchal being there, but we can check that. Okay, so there's 8. So that's less than half. So that's not great, but more than 25%. So I think we're still in that same 50% category. We're in the woods, which adds 25% to it. Oh, I need to check their speed. Actually, I'm doing all this in my head, but I should actually do it so you guys can see it. So there's 8 of them. Now let's just remember that for a second. There's a 15% chance that the patriarch that was their lair. So let's just roll. No, I didn't think so. All right. So there's 8 were-tigers. So let's quickly look up were-tigers, because we need to know how fast they are. If they're not more than twice as fast as us, it's not really a big deal. Their movement is the same as ours. Yeah, they're either neutral or chaotic, so we don't want to mess with were-tigers if we can avoid it. Now, because there is 8, that is less. That's like a little bit less than 50%. If we look at our chart, again, there's 5 people in my party, 26 to 60, 50% chance of evasion. Woods add 25% chance. Oh, all right, I forgot to check for surprise. I keep forgetting to check for surprise. Did the party surprise the were-tigers? Yes. Oh, actually, so they're surprised. Did the were-tigers surprise the party? They did. Okay, so both parties are surprised, which we call no surprise. So again, we go back to the numbers I was just doing, which is 75% chance of evasion. If we don't get the 75, then we have to move. 69, we evade them. So the were-tigers are passing through because it's not their lair, right? We rolled that. Actually, we didn't roll that because I got all excited about the patriarchs. Maybe I won't retcon when we... All right, sorry, I got myself all confused, but let's just look at this for a second. We have were-tigers. We rolled. We need to roll. There's a 15% chance that it is... There's 8 were-tigers. There's a 15% chance that this is their lair. 98, it's not. I want to know that because, again, we mark it on the map. But if it is, I've already rolled with a 69. We evade them. So we evade the were-tigers. Another day goes by. We use up another ration. Now, the reason why this is important, again, I'm tracking the time, keep in mind, because I have multiple parties out here now, and they need to get back to camp. Next day begins. 3. 3 is neither getting lost, nor is it an encounter. So, again, we have a half a move that we had from last time. So, 1, 2, 3, that'll put us right here at the edge. We're still in the forest. So but we didn't encounter anything, but tomorrow morning we're leaving from the forest. So I cross up another day's rations, mark another day on my calendar. Next day. We'll use this die. We'll try and mix it up a little bit. I'm still in the forest, so 1 or 2, I'm lost. 5 or 6, an encounter, otherwise we're good. Oh, they're lost, okay. So if they're lost in the forest, they have to move 1 hex in a random direction. 5. Oh God, okay. Back this way. And that takes up 2 of their moves, so they really can't go anywhere else. They have like 1 move left, so tomorrow they'll be able to take 4, which will get them out of the forest, hopefully. Because they can't actually turn here. So they're going to stay there for a second. At least they didn't encounter any monsters. Another day goes by. Another ration gets eaten. We might have to hunt again. All right, so another day in the forest. 3, that's what we want. So they had 1 move left from yesterday, so 1 and 2. And then they have 2 for today, so 3. So basically that. That way is the way I'm going to go. Then I'm going to head towards that food. So now that day goes by. All right. I only have 5 days food left, so we're definitely going to have to stop here. Let's just hope that we have better luck with getting lost and stuff. So here we go. 4, no encounter. 1, 2, 3. Day's food happens. A day goes by. 2 in the clearing is nothing, so 1, 2, 3. They end on this. They get to collect. They don't use a ration, and they get to collect 2d6 times 2 food. Oh, they could definitely use that. So that's 20 rations. So 20. There's 3 of them, so 9 basically, and then with 2 extra. 9 days, I should say. Okay, that should get them home, they think. So they're going to keep moving. Boy, these guys, have had a heck of a time. Oh, 6, an encounter. All right. They were feeling good about the food, and now there's an encounter. So here's an encounter in the woods. Oh, no, D8. See what, I mean, sorry, in the plain. Is that another dragon? 8, dragon. Wow, a lot of dragons around here. Gotta love OD&D. So there is a dragon. Let's roll to see what kind. 9. They're not going to be lucky this time. Wyverns. Ooh, not ideal. So there are wyverns here in this hex. Actually, it happens at the end of the move, so it's not in this hex, it's in this one. There are wyverns here in this hex. So let's see what the deal is with wyverns. Wyverns. Between 1 and 6 wyverns, their movement is 24, so they're twice as fast as us. That's not good for us. There is a 60% chance that they're in their lair. So first of all, let's check to see if they're in their lair, because that's always good to know. That means treasure. 4, they're in their lair. Okay, so I'm going to mark that there's a wyvern lair. I've got 5. Yep, 5 by 6. Okay, there's a wyvern lair here. So now we're going to roll to see how many are here. The funny part about evasion is that we really want the number. Well, first of all, are they surprised? Did the party surprise the wyverns? They did. Did the wyverns surprise the party? They did not. Okay, so they don't have to try to evade, thankfully. And we'll figure out the lair another time. But that's actually very good. We've actually found 2 lairs, a goblin lair and a wyvern lair. And that's going to matter because even though they didn't bring back much treasure, that information is useful. So we should be able to get a little bit of, at least a little bit of glory for that so that we don't get kicked out of our adventuring group. And we're going to go again. Okay, here we go. I marked off the day, yep. 3. Okay, so no encounter. And you know what I'm going to do? Yeah, it works out perfectly. 1, 2, 3. They're actually going to land on this food. Now they're getting plenty of food. Well, hopefully. I've been rolling really good. Let's see what we got. Yeah, not a lot that time, so I jinxed myself. So that's 8 added to the 2 that I had. So boom, that's 3 more days. But they also didn't have to use a day's food, which is nice. Okay, so here we're going to end up in the forest, unfortunately. This is why we need horses so we can move faster. So we're going to come this way and move 2 hexes across. So it's going to be 1, 2, right? They can't move the 3rd. Then tomorrow they'll basically have 4. So they'll be able to go 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So they'll get up there if they don't die. All right, so let's see what we get. 3 is no encounter nor being lost in the forest. So that's good. Another day goes by. They use a ration. Let's hope they get another lucky day. 4, same thing. So again, this only cost me 1 because I already had 1 extra. And then, another day goes by, another ration. They're feeling pretty confident. The rest of the way, unless they get lost, is in the clear. So they should actually be able to get out of here if they don't encounter some kind of crazy monster. 5, no encounter. 1, 2, 3. That's like, when you're like starting to get closer and closer to home and you're just like, come on, I can't get home fast enough. Oh, 1, they get lost. Oh man, in their excitement, they get lost on this day. They get up and they start going the wrong direction. And that could mean anything really, because why would they be lost, you might be thinking, but it's like, well, they could be lost because the trail they normally take got broken down. They had to try to go around something. Okay, so because they're going this way, they have to go 1 hex that way, which is fine. It actually didn't hurt them that much. So 1, 2, 3. So they're actually good. Again, being in the open field is not a bad thing. Let's see, next day. 3, they're good. 1, 2, 3. I think I came in from up here, if I'm not mistaken. I probably should have marked that on the map. 5, still good. They got like 2 more days there if they can make it. Yep. If I don't get lost or run into an encounter today, we're off the map. 2. Good to go. With some rations from their hunting left in their pack, with both mules intact, as a matter of fact, and with, I think I have to look at it. Oh, actually, we can tell me okay, right now. With only 3 party members alive in the end, they have brought home 6,000 silver pieces and 2 gems, one worth 50, one worth 100. They've also located a goblin's lair and a wyvern lair, which are going to have some value to their patron, although it's not going to really give them any money right this second. The patron is just going to take that information and deal with it as they will. We'll possibly create maps to those. But as we stand, 3 party members have survived. The elf, the dwarf, and 1 magic user. They've got 1,650 gold pieces, half of which is going to go to their patron. So between the 3 of them, they're going to be basically about 825 gold. They are going to get experience for all the gold, though, of course, and all these various combats. So I'll calculate out all that, and they're probably going to take maybe a month or so to recover from this journey, to pick up new members to the party, and so on. You know, depending on what else is happening in the world.